Mercedes looked very good on Friday afternoon in Miami, very good going into qualifying for the sprint race, and duly took the pole. We've been saying all year that there are going to be teams that get it more or less right in terms of use of the tyres from one race to the next. It's going to be the McLaren team and maybe Red Bull, Max Verstappen, that have the common consistency through most of the races. But here, Mercedes looked really strong, and they duly got the pole. Except that it wasn't George Russell. It was Kimi Antonelli, 18 years old, who recorded a 26.4 in this, his first season of Formula One, to take the pole for the sprint race. Beautiful lap it was to watch too. I've been saying all year how good he is on slow corners. He is a short corner driver. He looks wonderful. I've always said there's a little bit of ground that he can make up on medium and high speed corners. I think that's probably still the case. But here at Miami, plenty of corners where he can show off his talent, I think you could say, because he looked really polished and really glossy. I think the most demanding, most interesting corner in Miami is turn 7. It's the left-hander after that very quick run after the start-finish line. They go through a right-hander and then some quick S's, and they're accelerating most of the time. Some quick corners there, more or less line-locked, although Charles Leclerc, of course, would disagree with that. He had a couple of offs there in the past in the Ferrari. But as they're going into turn 7, they're braking down into 4th gear from 7th gear. And the car's got load on it. It's got lateral load. So it's an interesting corner. And here Kimi was really out-Landoing Lando. He just looked fabulous. He came in braking hard in 4th. And then unlike virtually everybody out there was doing what Lando normally does and just coming out of the throttle, coming out of the brakes. He's going a little bit too quickly, getting the weight transfer sorted, no throttle, no brakes, getting the car settled, and then squeezing on the power. There wasn't an abrupt arrival of throttle either. Everything was very patient, very controlled, looking like a Max Verstappen when he's got lots and lots of grip. Just wonderful to watch through there. Lando was doing the same thing, but of course he was doing it from a slightly wider approach, and he wasn't doing it with the same management of the brake and throttle against steering, because Kimi already at this young age is turning in much earlier than Lando and creating a short corner going in and waiting for that rotation point, just as I say as Max Verstappen does. It's not happening quite as much on faster medium speed corners, but that isn't a major penalty for him around Miami. Yes, there are some fast kinks, there are some fast corners, but it's all about just keeping the car on a ribbon more than anything else, and he's very, very good at that. Sector 2 is kind of built for Kimi Antonelli. It's all slow corners. Yeah, there's some high-speed braking at the end of the long straight, but then it's all slow-speed corners going in and out. Really, really quick there. Sector 3, Mercedes always been very good in a straight line, and they are indeed at Miami. So it's just the high-speed braking into that last corner. And again, he's got some nice slowish corners to take him through to the start-finish line. So really, really good lap. The structure of his qualifying, of course, explains quite a lot, because he went out towards the end, as I say, or right at the end, as I say, when the track was at its quickest, when the track was at its most crowded as well. Whereas his teammate, George Russell, the driver you would imagine would be taking the pole, Mercedes being this good this weekend, like Max Verstappen, who actually was first on track in SQ1 and SQ2. That was Max's philosophy today, just get out there when there's no traffic. George did the same at the beginning of SQ3 when they went from mediums to soft tyres. So they were all on soft tyres for the first time. And indeed, on that first run, on a clear track, George Russell did a 26.7, 3/10 quicker than Max Verstappen, who was only actually a 10th quicker on the softs than he had been on the medium. So he didn't get in a good lap. George then came in and then sat out the rest of the session. He just did that one run, assuming, I guess, having a clear track would be even more important than getting the track at its best and possibly having some traffic. But it didn't work out for him, because not only Kimi, but both McLarens and Max went quicker. Max, yes, he stayed out on that set of soft tyres, the only driver to get 2 laps out of them. He was quickest in Sector 1 on that second lap, but of course the tyres then went away, and by the time he got to Sector 3, he'd lost some of that advantage, but he still out-qualified George Russell, which will have, I guess that will have really irritated George. Not only that his teammate, Kimi, is on the pole, but also that Max got him right at the end as well, and George probably could have stayed out. Maybe it was a fuel thing, I don't know. We've seen that before at Mercedes. So he has to live now that on a weekend where the Mercedes quite clearly is a really quick car, a Grand Prix winning car for sure, it's Kimi Antonelli on the pole for the sprint race. I'm sure George has got other ideas already going into the Grand Prix, but Kimi Antonelli could very easily win the sprint from the pole tomorrow. I was actually asked on a live stream on Tuesday, one of the viewers asked if I thought any of the rookies could win a sprint race this year. And I said, yeah, absolutely, for sure. Kimi Antonelli can win one. And we may well see that win happening tomorrow. Oscar Piastri alongside him, Lando Norris right behind him. The McLaren, a very, very quick car, looks really good for the Grand Prix proper in terms of the full race distance, how it's managing its tyres, how good it was when they put a bit of fuel in the car at the end of the afternoon session. The first session, the only untimed session we had in Miami. Lando looking good, Oscar looking good, because neither of them create short corners in the way that Kimi Antonelli does. Yes, they have the touch, yes, they have the feel, and Oscar certainly at the beginning of last year was driving a little bit like Kimi right now, but then Oscar's come away from that, and it'll be interesting now to see whether, as a result of what Kimi's done, whether Oscar might be rethinking about what he does do going into some of the slow circuits coming up now, because he does have the talent to do that. He's just not doing it, because I guess at the moment his yardstick is Lando Norris and what Lando is doing, and he's just got to stay with him or maybe just slightly ahead of him, which again he's done today. And so as it played out, Oscar slightly quicker than Lando through sector 1, through the change of direction, not asking quite as much of the car as Lando. Sector 2, Oscar slightly quicker again, but sector 3, Lando had a little bit more in his tyres and was quickest in sector 3. So very, very even between the two McLaren drivers. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen, as I say, quickest in sector 1 on that second run, but by the time he got to sector 2, sector 3, of course, that tyre on its second lap had lost its edge. So he will start fourth behind Antonelli and the two McLarens. George Russell will be a disgruntled fifth, I would say. Not happy about that at all, but he'll be thinking already of the Grand Prix. And then came the two Ferraris, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. Ferrari looking for a lot more this weekend already. It's a cliche to say that, but after Saudi Arabia, Ferrari definitely felt that they had a good race car now, and it was just going to be small detail improvements, and they're always going to be there or thereabouts. But today, not in the same class as Mercedes, that's for sure. Now, possibly we can write that off, as we have been a little bit with the cars just below McLaren and Red Bull, saying that on any given weekend, one of them is going to get the tyres absolutely right. And maybe this is one weekend where the softness of the range of the Pirellis isn't suiting the Ferrari. But at the moment, a long way away from Mercedes, and that'll be a worry for them. But Charles Leclerc, again, quicker than Lewis Hamilton. Quick word about the Ferraris. Not sure about their livery. Basically red from the nose up to the back of the cockpit, and then blue and white. Last year, they looked really nice. They came to Miami, and this is an HP thing, I believe. They came to Miami, and they had blue against the red. Now they cut a dividing line down the middle of the car, red and then blue and white, and it looks a real dog's dinner in my opinion. Don't know why they've done that. What they should have done, I think, if I may suggest, is just do a blue and white car for Miami. And the precedent was there, of course, because that's how the Ferraris raced in 1964 when John Surtees won the World Championship in North America, in Mexico and the United States. They ran in blue and white, and the Ferrari would look absolutely superb in blue and white, just as the drivers do at the moment in their blue and white overalls. So I don't know why they didn't do that. Anyway, 8th and 9th, Alex Albon in the Williams, Isaac Hadjar in the Red Bull B car. Really good performance from both of those drivers. Carlos Sainz in the other Williams is in a really good lap, but locked up under high-speed braking in SQ2. Great shame for Carlos, because he would have been right up there as well, but sort of classic Carlos Sainz in a way. And Fernando Alonso, very good job in what is obviously an unbelievably slow Aston Martin P10. And he was quick on medium tyres too in SQ2. So Fernando definitely hasn't lost it, enjoying the Miami weekend so far. Shout out to Nico Hülkenberg. Very good job to be P11 in the Sauber. Went very well by Sauber terms anyway. Nico Hülkenberg. Esteban Ocon also not bad in the Haas Ferrari, P12, and Pierre Gasly 13th in the Alpine Renault. But the big talk, of course, is about Kimi Antonelli taking the pole for the sprint race. This is even more amazing than Lewis Hamilton taking the pole for the sprint race in China. And look what happened there. Yeah, he could well do it tomorrow. Kimi could win a, how do we word this, a point-scoring round of the Formula One World Championship. Not a Grand Prix, of course, but if he does that, he will, of course, be the youngest driver ever to do so. So congratulations to him. Before we go, a quick word about these stunning 3 REC watches, the faces of which have been designed in the theme of 3 amazing Ford GT40 teams, race teams from the 1960s, namely Shelby American, Essex Wire, and Sid Taylor Racing. Denny Hulme drove and won races with Sid Taylor Racing in that GT40. And these 3 watches, all in the colours of those race teams, and all 3 watches contain original materials from the GT40s raced at that time. Details in the description below. And if you quote Peter GT40, you'll get an additional 20% discount, so don't miss out on that. A big thanks, of course, then to REC Watches, to OEM Exclusive, to TrackNinja, and to Jetcraft for their support of this channel. And let's see what happens tomorrow. Can Kimi Antonelli win his first Formula One race?